Hi everybody. As normal with me, previous videos, just of late, I give thanks to the NHS. I also give thanks to the carers within the community and those within the public domain. Also to the emergency services such as the fire department, the ambulance service and the police. I also give thanks to all the shop workers that they're still serving us through this time of trouble, through this time where we're not sure exactly what's happening. And I thank you guys as well for sticking to, the boundaries that have been put in place, like wearing masks, staying 2 meters apart and everything else when we're out and about. And also I send healing to all those that's been affected by the coronavirus, whether physically, mentally, and for those that's passed over into the spirit world. Today what I want to talk about is spirituality, spiritism and spiritualism. So many people believe that they're all the same. Once you mention anything that starts with spirit, people presume that you like to talk to the dead or you like to hear from the dead. This is not entirely true. To be spiritual or being spiritual is about you. It's about you connecting with your spirit. It's about connecting that where the spirit and the body come as one, and that realization that we are one, and that the spirit uses your body for a time to live on the earth plane, and then goes back to the eternity of the spirit life. When we look in the Bible, Jesus mentions this about life being eternal once our physical bodies died, and life has always been eternal. Many of us believe that we've gone through many past lives as well on our journey. Also that, we were created by God, same as the universe was, and everything else was around it. God is the I am. God is the creative force that brought everything into being, and He also brought us into being. In the sense of when we're first born as spirit from spirit, we're born ignorant. We're born not knowing the difference between good or evil. And as we progress through our many lives into our present one, we learn more and more and more and more, so that when we pass over, we hit those different levels, those different vibrations of the spirit world. Some believe there's 12 vibrations, the highest being the creative God force, and then coming down into the universe itself, then the ascended masters, the archangels, and then our spirit friends and guides. And then obviously those that come into the physical being. Once we've gone through all these and we've got to that perfect place of pure good and love, where we got that realization of that pure love, and then we hit that place where we don't have to come back. We don't have anything else to learn when it comes to being on the earth plane. All our learning then is done in the spirit world. So spiritual is about you. It's about you yourself. Spiritism, or spiritist, that's about the science of the spirit world. This was first introduced by Allan Kardec in 1851 when he wrote the Spirits book. How he did this, Spirits book, how he did this, he approached mediums and connected with the spirit world, the higher ascended masters and people of knowledge, to find out what it's all about, and then try and prove it in other ways. So it's the science behind it. Spiritualist, not spiritist, spiritualist, is about somebody who connects with the spirit world, the medium, like myself and many others out there. The medium that talks to spirit and passes on those messages or passes on that guidance from the spirit world, whether it be from loved ones, whether it be from the angels or the ascended masters. Spiritualism is the religious side of it. Now, when you think of spirit aren't religious. They are not religious. They don't adhere to one doctrine, whether it be Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, etc. They don't adhere to that one thing unless they're here on the earth plane. So putting spirit and an ism together and making it religion, as many people believe it is kind of a mess about with words. To be a spiritualist where we connect, we don't have to be part of that spiritualism. People confuse the spiritualist with the psychic. Now, it's knowledge amongst all the spiritual people that work with spirit, or should I say the spiritualist people that work with spirit. Everybody's psychic. Everybody's psychic. You're psychic. No matter who you are psychic. You were born psychic. You were born with that ability to connect with another human being through their aura. You given that ability to connect with that human being, to naturally know their dislikes, their likes, their past, their present, whatever. Some people develop that even further. Many of you, the psychics out there use cards, tarot cards and things like that to connect with people, to give them messages and guidance. When we look at a spiritualist medium, they connect solely with the spirit world. Now, like I said, everybody's psychic, but not everybody is a medium. But every medium is also psychic. Yeah. Going back to the spiritual side of things, this, like I said, this is about you. It's not about connecting with the spiritual world. It's about you. It's about connecting with your spirit. And there's many people out there, you say spiritual to them, they think, whoa, you talk to the dead, you're a devil worshipper, blah, blah, blah. Okay? I tell you now, my friends, there's a lot of people who are not connecting to the spirit world, who are very spiritual, and there has been through the ages. Mahatma Gandhi was very spiritual in his way. He was a very loving, very caring person. He's in touch with his own inner self. Pope John Paul is another one. Pope John Paul II was very spiritual. He was in connection with his inner self. And he loved people. And he did try to change the ways of the Catholic Church and bring them into the present by accepting the spiritualist side of things and the science side of things. Lady Diana, very loving, very caring young lady there. Very spiritual. Jesus was very spiritual. To me, Jesus is like the, how can I put it? He's like the person that I look up to on a spiritual sense, not on a religious sense. The way that he was as he's taught in the Bible. The way that he was as he's taught in other religious teachings as well, like in Hinduism, Buddhism and Islam. Very spiritual person. He healed people. He existed. Moses, very spiritual. Abraham, very spiritual. God Mahabuddha, very spiritual. So you can see the difference there. Yes, Buddhism, they do connect with the afterlife along their journey. Hinduism also has a knowledge of the afterlife along their journey and the ancestors. If you read your Bible, you will see that Jesus also had a knowledge of the afterlife. When he said, life is eternal, it does not matter what you eat. It doesn't matter what you wear. You will have eternal life. So even when your body's passed over, you will have eternal life. Personally, I'm a spiritualist. Not only do I aim to be perfectly spiritual, in the sense I aim to have a love not just of myself, but of everybody around me. I aim to not just care about myself, but also care about everybody around me. I aim to be happy, not only within myself, but also to send out that happiness to everybody around me. That's my spiritual side. My spiritualist side is I love to connect with those that's passed over, or those that reside in the spiritual world that never touch the earth plane, such as the archangels, and pass on messages of wisdom, of guidance, of love, and proof that it exists. Religious teachings tell us it exists. Religious teachings tell us that there is another world other than ours that resides in that godly universal atmosphere. where everything is, everything was created. Where there's a beginning, there's an end. When we look at the universe, a lot of people, they put God to one side and that. And they say the universe created everything, but what created the universe? What created the stars? What created all of the planets and the moons and everything else that resides in the universe? It had to be created by something. And that something had to be eternal. To know if you're spiritual or not is how you look at other situations, as well as how you feel about yourself. How many times have you been cut by another car and called the person that's driving the other car names? That's not very spiritual, guys. Not very spiritual, but it's human. And it's a human condition that we learn from. And we learn to overcome. And we learn to move forward with. When we start to think, did that person cut me off for a reason? Were they unaware I was there because of other things on their mind? For example, did they have a loved one in hospital? Were they rushing to get home because a loved one was poorly? Had they had a really bad day at work and they was constantly on their mind of how it went and what went wrong? Were they in a rush to get to work and was bewildered about what was around them? Also ask yourself this: have you ever been in one of them situations where you've not realised or noticed what is around you? As we go through life, we do this. How many people take the same journey to work every day, and then it gets to the point where you leave home, you get to work, but you don't know what happened in between? A lot of us. I would actually push it as far as to say all of us that have ever worked. All of us that have ever visited a place over and over again, taking the same route over and over again. I've done it myself. I'm at the centre now in Ashton in Makerfield. And I left Wigan to come here today. And I think I can probably remember one set of traffic lights. And I know there's quite a few. Why? Because I've taken that journey many, many, many times and I'm used to it. So it is now in my subconscious rather than in my conscious. What's in my conscious is what's around me. But in the subconscious, it's automatic. It's an habit. It's like reaching for a cigarette if you smoke. It's an habit. Most of the time you don't realise you've reached for it until you've got it in your mouth and you're puffing on it. Habit. It's like getting up at the same time every day. Eventually you start waking up before the alarm goes off. Habit. You do something long enough, it goes into your subconscious. But it's about bringing that subconscious forward into the conscious, connecting the two. Yeah. Once we start to do that, then we can look and say, okay, I did that. Why did I do that? Let's move forward from that. And this is how we work to become more spiritual. More spiritual to other people. Not condemning other people for who they are or what they are. As a medium, and many mediums will tell you this, as well as many people that go to spiritualist churches who aren't mediums, that we get condemned as devil worshippers, tricksters, and many other things. Why? Because people do not know what we do. They don't understand us. We know in the world, before the COVID-19 especially, we had a lot of issues with ISIS. But yet everybody who was from that area of the world, the Middle East, whether it be India, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, and so on, was considered the same by some people. Why? Because they did not know the difference. Because they didn't understand the people. Believe it or not, there are more Muslims against ISIS that are for ISIS. Also, we've got when you look at two people, one a Hindu, one a Muslim from a similar area from Pakistan, and one from India, for example, they look very similar in their looks, but they all get condemned as being the same. Why? Because we don't understand. Becoming spiritual is about getting that understanding. It's about talking to people. Also, why do people do things that's bad? Because when we're all born from the universe into the world, to the physical world, when we all come from spirit into the physical world, we are good. We are good. We're not naturally evil. Naturally, we're ignorant of good and evil. As we were born in the beginning, as spirit, is the same as we're born into the physical world. We come into this physical world scared. Why do you think we cry every time we come out? Yeah, it's a scary place. You've gone from the comfort of your mother's womb into this massive big world, this room. There's people about. People with masks on, like the ones that we're wearing at the moment. That's scary for a baby. Somebody who's never been, or should I say, somebody who feels they've never been in this world before. Certainly not in that room before. And then we start to learn. But what do we learn from? We learn from as parents, we learn from society. We learn from what the TV shows us. We learn from the video games and everything like that shows us. That's what we learn from. David Icke once said, the biggest hypnotic thing in the world is that oblong box in the corner of your room. And it's true, so many people are hypnotised by what comes out of it. Whether it be Coronation Street or EastEnders or the news or whatever. And then we've got the other things like social media, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube's massive for hypnotising people. It comes out with so much stuff that's, you don't know where you are. But once we start to focus on us and find out who we are, and then progress on that spiritual path of us. Remember, progressing on a spiritual path does not mean you need to talk to the dead. Not at all. That spiritual path is learning who you are, your purpose in life and why you're here. And how many people say, why are we here? What's my purpose? Believe me when I tell you guys, when you think you found your purpose and you get bored with it, that is not your purpose. It's like going into a sweet shop and seeing all the sweets. You got the toffees, the chocolates, the mints, the mixed, chocolate and mint, stuff like that. How do you know what your favourite sweet is unless you've tried them all? The same with being spiritual, the same with life, the same with finding your purpose. The closer you get to your purpose, the more spiritual you become. And how do we start that? First, we have to understand what type of person we are. Are we a person that likes to be caring towards others? Are we a person that likes to be on his own? Are we a person that likes to drive? Are we a person that likes to walk? If you like to drive, but you like to be around people, be a taxi driver, for example, or a bus driver, yeah, or even pilot, if you like a bit of flying, yeah. Once we've found that niche is what, say for example a carer, somebody who likes to care about people. Once they've realised, they like to care about people, then they have to find out what type of caring they like. What type of caring their purpose is. I know what mine is. Mine is to help people. Simple. Help people by allowing them to talk. Help people by allowing me to connect with spirit to pass on wisdom and guidance. Two different areas. But that's my purpose. I've gone through the caring industry. I've gone through the mental health system. Working, that is, by the way, guys. Working. Though some would argue with that. I've worked with dementia care. I've worked with mental health care. I've worked with young disabled. I've worked with adult disabled. I was a medic in the army. I've worked with autism. I've also worked in hospitality where I'm around people, helping people, you know, about delivering meals to them and things like that. In the hospitality industry. Caring about people while they eat. Looking after them. Again, another job I enjoyed. But it's all about caring. About caring about people. Like again with the sweet shop. Do you prefer chocolates or do you prefer hard-boiled sweets? If you prefer hard-boiled sweets, what flavour do you like? You've got to try all the flavours to find out which one you like. Which one's your favourite. You can't stop at the first one that tastes really nice and say, oh, that's my favourite. You can't stop there. Because if you do, you'll find that most of you, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, you'll get bored with that flavour. And then they go for another flavour. Same with life. Once you find your niche in life, your purpose in life, you no longer become bored with what you're doing. You no longer feel like there's something missing. To me, I've tried everything I need to try to get where I am today. And I've done a lot of learning as well along the way. Not just learning about how to care for people, but also learning about myself. So again, we're looking at my spiritual self, building my spiritual self up. Getting me into a place where I have met my purpose in life. And I am happy with myself. I am happy within myself. I love myself. And I care about myself. That does not mean I don't love and care and be happy about other people. Because you cannot love truly and care truly or be happy truly about another person unless you've got that happiness, that caring and that love within yourself. Let's face it, you are the most important person around. You are. I ask so many people, who's number one in life? Always my husband, my daughter, my sister, my wife, my parents. That's so untrue. You have to be first in your life so that you can put them first. You have to look after yourself first and connect with that spiritual part of you that can give everything before you can be the one that looks after everybody else. Because how can you look after everybody else if you go down? If you end up poorly, in hospital or whatever, how can you look after everybody else if you're down? Because you didn't look after yourself. Because you didn't love yourself. All this is part of our spiritual path, our spiritual learning. And as I said, that's a spiritual learning, not a spiritualist learning or a spiritist learning. It's not about being part of the spiritualism faith that people have put the stamp on. Being spiritual is not about a religion. It is not about talking to people that's passed. Being spiritual is about being your true, unique self. To the point where you can no longer better yourself because you have reached your peak. Not your peak in a job, but your peak within yourself. And I don't feel none of us reach that peak until we pass. But how good is it to know that you've reached that peak when you pass over? When you look back and you look at how caring you've been to other people, how much love you gave out to the world and to people you knew and don't know. One of the 7 principles of the spiritualist churches is the brotherhood of man. The brotherhood of man is all about connecting with other people, understanding other people, getting to know other people, no matter where they're from or who they are. In the Bible, Jesus said, love thy neighbour as thou would thyself. And that's true. So if you can't love yourself, how can you love your neighbour? The bottom basics of this purpose in life is love. The real nitty-gritty bottom line is love. Love yourself so you can love others. Because how can you love others if you don't love yourself? Love thy neighbour as thou would love yourself. Do to your neighbour as you would have done unto you. So if you're somebody that likes fighting but you don't like getting beat up, why fight? Okay? If you're somebody that likes driving fast but you don't like other people driving fast, why do you drive fast? Yeah? One of the ways of learning is learning what other people do that we don't like, that we actually do ourselves. Sometimes the more prominent things that stand out to us is what we don't like about ourselves. So guys, don't confuse being spiritual with spiritist, spiritualist, or spiritism. Yeah? Just to be spiritual is a massive thing. And it doesn't matter what religion you belong to, if any. It doesn't matter where you come from in the world. It doesn't matter how you were brought up. It doesn't matter about the hardships you've been through or how easy your life's been. Being spiritual is about you, who you are now and where you'd like to be to progress, to become more spiritual, to be more loving, to be more caring, to be more accepting. To be somebody that doesn't pass ridicule because somebody else is different. Believe it or not, and many people don't believe this, but it's the truth, I swear. When I was at school, in the high school, which was in them days called a comprehensive, I used to get called nigger because I was dark-skinned. Dark-skinned as in an olive skin when I got a tan. Now this actually comes from my ancestors who were Italian. But yet, this is what I got called. And I was bullied with it. Why? Because they didn't know me. They didn't know who I was. They didn't know about my ancestors and things like that. In them days, these guys were skinheads. National Front. When we look at the National Front, you know, they were very racist of anybody that was different. A bit like Hitler. He was racist to anybody that was different. A bit like the Catholic Church, who's racist about anybody that's different. They didn't accept people who were gay. They didn't believe in other people's faiths, such as Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, etc. And Islam faith's the same. And you'll find that other religions are the same as well. They're right. Only what I teach is right. Only my religion is right. Whatever. When you actually look at other religions, other people, you'll find they are very similar. And if somebody doesn't conform to it, does it matter? Does it matter? No. Of course it doesn't. When religions were first formed, they were formed in an area. And they developed with the beliefs of that area. They wore clothes, for example, of the beliefs in that area. Headdresses were worn to keep the sun off the head, for for example. And these traditions have carried on for that long to become part of their religion. And I'm not just on about the Muslims or the Hindus with the turbans on. There's the Jews as well, they wear headdresses and hats. That's become part of the religion. And when we look at different religions as well, we take on parts of previous religions or other religions. Have you noticed the Pope wears a skull cap? And so do many of the deacons and the archbishops. Why? Because Christianity came from Judaism. What do the Jews do? They cover their head. It's about learning these things. It's about knowing about people. It's about understanding them. Not only understanding the similarities, but also understanding the differences. And this is all towards becoming spiritual within ourselves. Spiritual is where we all started. Spiritual is our aim, to perfect it. If I don't perfect it in this life, I'll probably come back and have another life, and have another go. As I've probably done many, many times before. As you guys have probably done many, many times before. If something is not right in your life, change it. Make it right. Make it right through believing in yourself and through that love for yourself. Because you deserve the best in your life. Once you start feeling that gut feeling, listen to it, because that is your spiritual self working with the spirit that are around us that's eternal to give us the guidance to what is good and what is bad for us. If it's not good for us, it'll never work for us. That's how it is. If we try and do something that's not right for us, we'll always feel that there's something missing or something not right. But once we follow that gut instinct, which is given by a spiritual self, because even our spiritual self wants our physical self to learn and get it right. So remember, guys, to be spiritual doesn't mean you can talk to the dead. So don't confuse it with that. To be spiritual is being a good, honest, loving, caring person. But it's also about being loving, caring, and honest with yourself. And being happy within yourself. And then sharing all that with other people. And with that, friends, I'll leave you and say good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Namaste.